What's happening, man? Message to the black man, woman, and child, I suppose. When I was growing up, this is just my 2 cents. My objective is to get real comfortable, talking here on Facebook, and then also provide some value for people who, would be able to benefit by this message. And so, I think I'm going to be sending this out to some people who are what I would say are, leaders. So-called in the social theater, social theater. So that's a term that I created. I create a lot. So I would say, as first and foremost, my disclosure is, what trolling is. Trolling is where you watch a video the first 10 seconds. You make an assessment, and then you go and you write some words. And sometimes with the words, especially if they're not, they're not kind, they are, adversarial to the person or their topic. And that's trolling if you leave. So if you just, you catch wind of what they're trying to talk about, or they say something that turns you off or whatever, it strikes you some kind of way, then you write something negative. You don't even watch the rest of the video. You take off. That's trolling, man. That's what it is. So if you got something negative to say, at least watch the whole video. I mean, that's a good etiquette. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it's right or wrong, indifferent. Because I think currently, the opportunity of the internet is for everybody to improve their truth, right? Improve the truth that they stand on, and what the basis of that truth is. So, we kind of slap each other around online, but we actually get to see, what this is to be a human being, and it's all really being put in our face at this time. We're all being very challenged, and what I'm noticing about this whole process is that, the mistakes that we make very redundant. So like the African American community. Matter of fact, I was watching somebody's videos. A cat who was interviewing Shahrazad Ali, then he interviewed Judge Joe Brown, and I came up with an idea, because that's what I do. One of my brands is Fast Idea. So this idea was for a product. Basically, whenever black folks have a meeting, an event, something like that, they should have import, or they should request, a review from myself or one of the gigabytes. That would be an individual who, I would think is qualified to basically, or who is qualified to basically analyze and assess. And the objective of this product is to basically be the parent, the overseer, to give a critique, because we all live in these different realities. Okay, we all live in these different perceptions. You know what I'm saying? Right now, my reality is different than it was 5 years ago, and different than it can be. But I'm in the reality, and so I forgot the other realities in a sense, right? One of the things is it's very important for me to transport myself mentally to another town that I'm familiar with. I'm in the Bay Area, but I like to teleport myself to LA and just really think about, I'm in LA right now while I'm standing here, but I'm in LA, because being in LA evokes a certain feeling, man. It really it makes me happier, you know what I mean? And I'm in a place where life is a little bit different right now. Last night I stumbled upon some videos with his brother, Justin Wayne, I think his name is, He basically teaches guys how to get girls, and he records, privately his conversations with these women. And, I'm a man, so I'm watching this, you know what I'm saying? And I've dealt with, the reluctance or reticence or whatever. And all it is an acquired skill, sort of developed skill, to get women and to do whatever you want to do. And so, I don't know, I was excited, I was energized, I was like, damn. And I realized right just then, the world I'm living in right now, dealing with courts, government oppression and forced incompetence, and, and super case and suing the government, and actually, demonstrating or exhibiting, social art. So as I'm looking at his world, he's laying down with different women, and what I'm saying, he's living in the big city. I was like, yo, man, that's, especially where I'm at right now. I was like, yo, that don't look so bad right now. You know what I mean? And life is like that. You could go and live his life, and then you'd be like, you want my life, family, children, this type of thing, because it's kind of like the illusion of life, you know what I'm saying? We all want a lot of different things, we think the grass is greener. In any case, and there's a lesson in that, for the African, the melanated individual. So this product, anyway, would basically be like a report. It'd be like almost like if I was in the room and I want to give you a critique. And I think this is important, especially coming from somebody like myself who is a polymath, multifaceted, a very diverse mentality, somebody who investigates different things, and also spiritual, very spiritual, life path 7, and so I've had this gift for a long time where I get psychic, I can pick up psychic information about what a person is going to create, you know what I mean? Like, so I might listen to your meeting, for example, and critique it, on an official document and send it to your peoples and just be like, you know what, I see y'all being redundant right here, this is not going to really serve us, and then you like, you're like, well, why? Maybe you're asking why. Maybe what's different about my report, unlike most reports, right? Like you get a job or something. Like if I go to a job and I say, listen, man, you should contract with me. I'm a life path 7, so I need to have autonomy. You know what I'm saying? Like have the jobs actually picked up on this science yet, and where they would be actually understanding to your logic and say, okay, well, yeah, is they ready to import everything that we are learning, the confluence of information, and bring it and let it converge and actually adopt it, bring it into the company culture and say, yeah. So that's what I'm about. Like, yo, this is the next level. So like my report, whereas you're talking about from like a Western perspective, European, less holistic, right? Then you're expecting a certain report, an MLA format. You're expecting a certain format, blah, blah, blah. My format's like, yo, here's what my spirit is telling me. Boom. Here's that Western approach. Here's some research, some data maybe you can go look at. And here's what my polymath is telling me. So I just break it down like 3 categories. So polymath, I'm thinking about Hollywood, how they do this, and in business, I'm thinking about how, DuPont owns pharmaceutical companies, and they also sell you, soap and shampoo, and if your people are going to continue to support their products, then they're actually hurting themselves because they said that their values hierarchy is that they want to live a more holistic life, and it ranks here number 2 on their values hierarchy, but yet they're buying the soap, which is a DuPont multinational corporation. They're buying all these Walmart products that DuPont owns. They're really supporting the infrastructure and the supremacy that they said they want to break down because, but for all these different reasons, that is like, see, most people just want you to focus on one thing. Let's just say, to me, that's why it doesn't work, because if you continue to live in all these different illusions, you're never really attacking this thing like the right way. You know what I'm saying? You have to, so anyhow, like for black liberation, it's possible, but it's just a game, like, I don't know, in my opinion, I remember being a teenager, and thinking of that question, like, or pondering the fact that I didn't choose my parents, like, okay, I'm so-called, African, right? I don't like the black label. I like the word. I like it as a brand name, but I don't support it as a brand name because that's one of the tricks, is that, many of our people, because we've been so poorly educated, we don't know that this is a political game and we don't know how to play it. I've always been one of these people. I'm a double analytical. This is what my astro peoples is telling me, that I'm double analytical. So I'm always observing myself too, you know what I'm saying? And I know that if I got an issue, I know that a lot of my people will have an issue. So we have an issue of self-hate on many levels, many of us. That's another issue. But we've just been poorly educated, so we don't know all the issues that we'll be dealing with and confronting. We don't know this is a political thing. And then, we'll get on TV. I'll listen to Shahrazad Ali, and she said something like, oh, yeah, our people will stab each other in the back, whoop-de-whoop. And I was like, whoa. I had a dream, I've been having some higher beings, some entities that have been, giving me some guidance. And one of my dreams was like, it was a woman. She was telling me, this assignment, if you take it, it's going to be real hard. She's like, and I was like, how hard could it be? Like, what is it? And she showed me, and what it was closed. I couldn't talk. The thing was that I wasn't going to be able to say certain things anymore. Like this assignment to help the the melanated peoples do social design. And again, I just feel like I'm a reflection of what a lot of my people, a message of a lot of my people needed. I'm almost like the bullhorn or the talking, just a mouthpiece for certain instructions, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So things like Shahrazad saying, "Oh, well, we can't trust each other." I heard somebody once say, we project each other into the future. So based on that, she had given poured some libations and raised up the ancestors, things of this nature, because these paradigms. So I find that to be true. On some level, like I know Shahrazad, she's real intelligent, very savvy lady. I like Shahrazad. She looked good too. In any case, you can't continue to say stuff like that and you actually be helping the people. You're not. Because then you forget the fact that there's a whole new generation coming up and they haven't been given instructions yet. So the brain computer is always being given instructions, is always writing new code. And so every time we hear Shahrazad or myself say something like that, then we are moving towards that which we say we don't want. So this is all dealing with like neurolinguistics. This is all dealing with like the science of success. Wallace Wattles, I think, gave a good account of this, which is that you can't, you're either moving towards something or moving away from something. That which you're moving away from what he said was, you only prolong the thing that you want to get rid of. The more you talk about it, like you prolong it, so it just stays longer. So, like, taking it back to my dream. That's why the dream is telling me, like, you're not going to be able to talk about certain things. And that's what's going to be painful about it, because oftentimes when when we don't like something, our program, our code wants to kick it out. And the way that we kick it out or express it is kind of like a computer. It always, like if there's an error, it just gives you an error message. What if there was an error in the computer program, but it never gave you the error message? You didn't have to see it at all. You didn't even know what happened. Just keep going on your path. So, like, if you was focusing on something, and the error happened, but you don't hear about it, right? Maybe you just keep going on that path. But if the error message come up, all of a sudden it just stops your train of thought. You might forget something that was extremely important, or you might get diverted and go do something else just because this. So the way we deal with pain and things, we want to talk about it even more, and so we get into this redundant thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think where I could be valuable to this whole, the development, the progression, is that I do have a very diverse mind, and so I can see now, that this can be very important. A lot of people have what they do; they have their lane, right? But there has to be a unification of all these people doing all these different things, and so I wanted to kind of bring this back to a point that while we're out here doing all this stuff, and you got Shahrazad saying something like that on a internet channel that's can last for the next 70, 100 years, however long Google or YouTube saves it on the servers, right? Like, now it's possible that it could pop up again. You see what I'm saying? And so when 50 years from now we look back and we want to look at our legacy, now it's not just a legacy that's inscribed in the tombstones. Now it's something that lives on the internet, and you can never get rid of it, let's just say, right? And so depending on how YouTube wants to control the video feed, because they control a lot of this stuff, Facebook too. Now they can be popping up what Shahrazad said to program them into trigonometry. So not only do you have the Shahrazad component, but then you got Hollywood that's also programming people. You see what I'm saying? And then you got people using escapism. Now, the government. See, maybe this is something I'm not supposed to say. I mean, but I'll just put it like this. Why is escapism supposedly on the rise? So what is that? Is that people wanting to, eat ice cream and to just, or drink a beer, or relax or find some form of entertainment? If that entertainment is Netflix or YouTube, what kind of programming is it? Because a lot of times we just accept the programming they give. I remember being a kid and whatever came on. Shit, we had 3 channels, you could see it, and a couple fuzzy ones, you know what I mean? Like literally chick, 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 chick. And it was just whatever was available. I remember I did not like Star Trek. It was like 3 years, man, that shit was coming on. I never wanted to watch it. And then finally, as I was just trying, I was into escapism, I guess, at that point. Or, I don't want to say that, but I wanted to watch some TV. You know what I mean? So that was all that was on, man. And the problem was I just never gave it a chance. You know what I mean? I just always was looking at it, and I was like, man, this is whack. You know, Jean-Luc Picard and Number One and Guinan and all of them, right? Geordie LaForge, Worf. As you can see now, I know all the terms. I know. So, it just never interested me. It was just always very something about it, man. The color scheme. I don't know. I just was like, man, I don't want to watch this. Click, click, click. There was nothing else on, so one day it was just like, just out of the fact that there was nothing else on, I just sat and watched it. Right? Watched the whole program, and then I liked it. Oh, snap. And I became a fan, right? So, I don't know. Something happened. Who knows? Maybe they was sending vibrations through the channel, and it was programming me that way. I don't know. So we could get programmed with just whatever they're putting out, whatever they're programming. You understand? They could have been programming black love, black consciousness, and so that doesn't exist. So my thing is, I can create it. You know what I'm saying? But you got to come into my world. Gigabytes Virtual Society game. I want to create products for people out here that are, reaching the people. I think the melanated diaspora is like the best investment, just from a pure business standpoint. I think race, the issue of race is it's just a game, to be honest. I mean, it's a lot of it is it needs to, I need to work that out. But if you've ever used any psychedelics and induced a different state of consciousness, you realize that it's just different levels of awareness and in different places you could put your focus. And so imagine this as a reality com, as a game, reality com I call it. But it's a game, and our objective is like Donkey Kong. We got to jump to different levels, So my ultimate game is kind of like there's a solution to every problem. How come this not being integrated? You know what I'm saying? Like, just as well as the society runs the way it does now. I mean, there was a time where people couldn't even fathom not having bullion, a gold coin. They would have never accepted fiat, but through somebody playing the game the way they did, now we got the fiat, which is, to me, is a good thing because it has demonstrated that we can have an ecosystem, right? That is based on everybody's contribution to the idea, so to speak. The only challenge we have now is kind of like, or the opportunity that we have, I should say, is that just bringing everybody to that awareness that, we can go ahead and set up a new sort of ecosystem or financial system that everybody begins to buy into. And sure, you can set up a website so that people can start to pledge themselves into it, right? And when you start getting to certain levels, I don't know. It seems like it's pretty easy to do. Like, let's say I was Oprah. I got a bunch of money or something, right? I could set this idea up. I could work with, intelligent scholars and have them design it. All different types of disciplines. Have them design it and then have people join it. Oprah's virtual society. And then import certain concepts. So let's say we got individuals in the group. They're going to participate in this current ecosystem. But all the profits they make, it's not going to be all about, how can they keep it for themselves, but it's going to be going into buying different land and things like this. And people who are members, their children can live in houses. They can live in the houses, no cost, or live on the land as artisans. Or they can pay a fee And it's up to them. They can say, you know, I'm going to pay this fee. If I can't pay it, then I will be exiled. This is practical. This is like, because the objective then being they want to jump mastery. So if they want to jump, then and it seems that it would help them to put this type of duty on themselves, you know, it can be by their choice. If they don't like to where they're, you know, how their life is going, maybe that's what they need. I don't know. Anyhow. So I'm going to close this video out. It's been like 20 minutes. I just wanted to say, too, that I can develop products. So I think for the melanated people, what we need is products that we can really inundate ourselves. So, you know, a lot of artists out here, but we don't really have a lot of comics in the household. So why is this? So what I would suggest is like the same way churches, you know what I'm saying, different people in the ghettos and the communities, they put out information. Let's set up a network where, let's say we develop a comic. It might be a 20-page comic, but maybe we put out 1 or 2 pages, right? Like a sampler almost. And different people in the community can sponsor this. So let's say the local liquor store, corner liquor store, whatever, or the church, or other individuals that's in the community that might have a job. They say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and buy a packet of 20 of those little samplers, right? And it's got the black characters and the storyline and everything that's really developing in the children, something that's going to help them jump. And the story and the plots is all about that. So, you know, the individual deals with healthy food. The issue of healthy food versus, you know, toxic foods is an issue. And also the type of dialogue that this person would have that should the person, the child or individual, decide to eat the unhealthy foods, there's still a redundant conversation where they know they're going to make the jump because that food doesn't have power over them, blah, blah, blah. Little seeds like that gets into, you know, gets truncated, redundant, and there's a part of yourself that knows you're going to break that tie or break your bonds with something because you've already set the intention that you can break your bond with something. You know, this is something I've witnessed with myself even. But so then boom, we got the product, and now these people in the community who say they want this blackness because you're gonna have to program it into yourself like a certain love. And if Shahrazad is saying one thing about, not just Shahrazad has said this, I mean this is part of a redundant problem that we have throughout the community. Then you're gonna have to start to change the dialogue, and it's gonna happen within the children. You feel me? And so we put the magazine out, sets, kits, people buy them now. It's only $20. Oh, y'all buy that? I mean, if it was available to me, right? You know kids going to take it because they like this type of stuff. They like anything with color, you know what I'm saying? Anything with art and creative. So now we got the 20 packs. And now when we create the network, within our network, everybody has their own catalog. So Dr. Phil Valentine, Professor James Smalls, Dr. Shibtaj Tariq Bey, whomever, you know what I'm saying? They now have a catalog because I'll set it up for them. Gigabyte Life will have a catalog, and there's different products in it, right? And then they can put whatever they want in their catalog. I'll help them develop certain products, and it'll be something that's based on their message, but it's also what I'm doing as the sort of the middleman is helping unify everybody, you know, in a sense, right? Like if you were developing a brand, like I'm developing Gigabyte, you see here, Gigabyte and the Gigabytes, it's an umbrella. So you have a real estate company, but then you also have the agents below them, and the agents have their own brand, and the real estate company has their brand. Well, the Gigabytes, we have our umbrella brand, and then we have the individual Gigabytes. That is because we want to be able to create something within the branding scheme, because if we're selling all types of products, food, health, you know what I'm saying, entertainment, whatever, we want something that's going to unify everybody so that there can be something that people identify with as common. Because if you don't have nothing in common, I don't know, it ain't gonna work. It just ain't. You know, I was riding my bike here last night, and there was a community center over here. Some cops that were standing out front. I was like, is it a funeral? This is like at night. It's already dark, 7, 8 p.m., something like that. And I'm like, what's this? You know, I'm curious. So now I go up to some people. I'm like, what's going on? This lady tells me, oh, this is Jewish New Year. So all these Jews get together for about an hour and a half. When have you seen black folks get together, or excuse me, the African, the melanated get together and be like, yo, even when it's Martin Luther King Day, let's just say, right? We still don't get together. Like, you don't see people go to the community center and everybody goes, right? Like, Jews don't even have to all be on the same page, but they'll at least do that. They'll do something that's unifying. So you got to have somebody, a social design firm. That's the intention. You ain't got nobody else out here that says they're a social design firm. I'm that dude. You know what I'm saying? With a background in real estate. I understand the methodologies of construction and subcontracting and general contracting. So that's important. Because that means I don't have to have all the mental, the capacity, the skills and whatnot. I just have to be able to architect or work with an architect to create the vision, boom, 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 plot it out, and then say who's the subcontractors we need to actually get this implemented. You know what I'm saying? To make it happen. But then also you need somebody who's going to pay for it, foot the bill. So my whole thing is, if I create the products and then people are buying products, that's what's going to create the funds that we can put into a social design capsule, a social design fund, and then we can then pay for whatever the solution is. So this is my intention. Who else you know doing that? Everybody just in their little corners doing what they do and creating even more divisions. Like there's one cat, I'm going to go ahead and mention his name, Ali Muhammad, right? I don't know if he's, is he a Muslim? Is he doing his own thing? Arna? Is he doing a national? Like, which one is it, bro? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It seems like he just want to do his own thing, go off on his own path, and that's cool. People need their own. Sometimes people need autonomy so they can develop and create, and I understand this because this is how I am. But, I don't really know. Here I am putting out information, and he don't have the ability to go, hey, that's a talent that we could use for this, to do this work. Right? See, I don't look at nobody that's doing whatever they're doing as a competitor. I look at them as a subcontractor. See, that's the mindset. So, obviously somebody might get wind of what I'm saying and be like, okay, I'm going to do that now. Because I've actually seen brothers copy me. Literally, I've seen them, I'll say something, and all of a sudden the pictures that they start putting up is totally different based on the teaching that I gave in a Facebook post. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, anyhow, I got my pet peeves too, but whatever. I just want to create the products. We can get them out. I want to finish on this. I like this whole little comic thing, but yeah, it's a good example. So 20 pack. Now let's say I want to be effective. I want to get out here and talk to you, but I really don't even know how to. I mean, I grew up in the hood or whatever, but I wasn't in the streets like that. I just lived, you know what I'm saying? And, I got around, but I wasn't turned out by the streets, almost, but I wasn't. So, it is a challenge for me to go and try and speak the language. It's like trying to pick up a girl, you know what I mean? Knowing how to talk to a young man or a man even is a skill. How to get them to follow. Well, if I'm dealing with somebody who does know how to talk that language and we put them in the comic, that's all I got to concern myself with. Who has the capability? My job is to figure out how to make it work, how to make the ecosystem start clicking. You see, and if I get some people that work with me, you'll find that I'm very adept at making something out of nothing, turning nothing into something. I'm a social artist is what I call myself. And just like an artist needs a paintbrush and a canvas, I just need paintbrush, canvas, people, places, and things. And then if I got a person, let's say Professor Smalls, man, join my network or join my agency. Watch what I do. You've been talking like that. I heard you say some stuff in your video. But see now, how are people going to integrate all that information? It's just information. You got to start now keeping something where people can start to integrate. So let's say we give people a booklet, and we got different tabs, and then Professor Small says something. We put together a nice list of what he said, some, an action list, and maybe even illustrate what the steps are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're going to do a workout, right? They not only give you the ingredients of the workout, do 10 reps of this and 6 sets of that, but then they also show you what it looks like, boom, 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 right? So now people can start to pattern their behavior because they can see step by step and picture by picture. Well, how come we not doing this? So as a social artist, I can see like, yo, this is what you got to do. Because I can see what works and what doesn't. You got to start now. You got to start demonstrating and illustrating and exhibiting what this looks like. Because you're just talking. This is all we're hearing. We just got people talk. Now let's create some products that people can put into their life. So now I create the book. And then we get to Professor Smalls. Now we create a product out of what he said or out of a talk that he gave. Now people can put that in their gigabyte-like book. Same thing with any other speaker, because now we all following different speakers. Some of us listen to SETI. So what I would do with SETI, in my virtual society, I would make SETI a general. And I'm going to make it look artistic, everything. So we're going to have a section like warfare, tactical warfare, whatever, right? And we're going to have SETI's face on there. And we're going to make it fun, we're going to make it engaging, but it's going to also be useful. And then some of the takeaways of what he's saying. So that, because we know that if people do something over and over again, you know, learning can happen in an instant or it can happen over time. And so, let's say you get an Anthony Robbins tape, you listen to it 1 year, 5 years later, you listen to it again, you go, oh, snaps. This is after you've learned so much about your life. Now you're integrating what he said, and you're like, it strikes you as the truth. So now what he told you to do 10 years ago, you finally integrated it to your life because you see, man, he already said do this, and he was on point. You see? So sometimes that learning can take a while. But if people have it in their vicinity and they can revisit it, or if SETI knows that he's working within our network and he already got, you know, some instructions on something or a training, now SETI can send out a message into the social theater to remind people to get back to fundamentals. What do they always tell basketball players? It's all about working on the fundamentals. So they're always working on fundamentals. Dribble this way, dribble that way, dribble this way, dribble that way. Boxers, same thing. They're working on the fundamentals. On the fundamentals. The warm-up is all about the fundamentals. No matter how long you've been boxing. So we don't have no unification. So what we have is unification now. What we have is a blueprint. What we have is something that's going to order and collect all the talk and bring visuals, instruction to the talk and chatter, and give everybody a solution to everything that they're faced with. So I could go in on that. I really could. For example, okay, had to do some programming there. So, for example, we deal with mental trigonometry. I got a product I call the Mental Trigonometry Almanac, the MTA-1, just like they got the DSM-5, right? Well, we got the MTA-1. So when they came out with this whole, Black Lives Matter, that's a scheme. That's a scheme to mess with your mental trigonometry, to get you to believe something. So what black folks don't need to be doing is calling themselves black, because that's a political status and it makes you inferior. What you need to be calling yourself, like the Moors say, right? Free white persons. All right? Now, whether the Moors are going to be in bed with these people in a way that's just going to debase us, that's something we'll figure out later. But for right now, it seems like it's a very useful protection. You know what I mean? So let's roll with that. Much better alternative than what we got. So with this, we'd be able to look at, in the annals of history, how people have done certain media campaigns. Just as an example, we go into different categories. So we could cover mental trigonometry, where people have either done something that's been good for the melanated people or negative, and we can cover it from hip-hop, music rather, to science, to whatever, and we could just go through the whole thing and just earmark everything. So we see where, in this MTA, we look at where we have been, the Black Lives Matter, just for an example, right? In the annals of history, rather, where have they put something out in the public that has had a correlated or has been used in conjunction with some other campaign? Like in conjunction, like let's say they come up with the Black Lives Matter right around the time that they start the police brutality. And so they already had the plan. Like, okay, we're going to come out with police brutality, blah, 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 and then we're going to do the Black Lives Matter. Just like a business, right? And they do everything in phases. Sorry that this camera's moving, right? All right, maybe that's better. Whew. So it's part of the plan, because they want you to be focusing on the wrong thing. Now, I go into these courts and I see that, even the judge is not using what we call good faith. His discretion is not good faith. It's bad faith. Because, number one, they already know that the cops lie. How do I know they know the cops lie? Because they have something in law. You can do what's called a suppression motion. If there's something that should not be on the record, let's say you're not in the jurisdiction, but the cop fabricates an address so that you're in the jurisdiction. That gives them joinder, it gives them the impression, and it gives you the impression, more importantly, and that's the whole idea. I've learned this. I'm watching these cats. They want you to get confused about everything or to fear something. So they might write something. It's false. They haven't proven it, but they want to keep it on the record that way to see how far they can get you with that. You see what I'm saying? If they can get you to move off of your square, they say, right? So this is most of our people being, let's say, less educated or whatever their situation is at the moment. They ain't gonna know how to deal with these. Me, I had more confidence because number one, I know these cops. Literally, I didn't have any. I didn't have any guilt on my heart. I knew these people was doing wrong. So you think I'm gonna go in there and just go? I'm gonna play your game when you're doing wrong. So number one, I'm not gonna play their game. But now I know that even if I did something wrong, whatever, I don't have to play their game. I don't have to be part of their charade. In any case, they have what's called a suppression motion versus a pitches motion. The pitches motion is that discretionary color of law type thing, right? And what it is where they go into this person's record, see if there's been any affidavits filed against the cop, saying that the cop had abused somebody, blah, blah, blah. Then they use that pitches motion. But it's never really a law record. It's under color of law, so it may never even... you don't want a pitches motion, is what I'm trying to say, right? But the point is, if they're using a pitches motion and the cops have done wrong, did they fire the cop? So if there is a pitches motion, there's already data on the cop that says, hey, this cop has done wrong. Did the cop get reprimanded? See, it's all a game. It's a charade. So I'm just trying to make the point, right? Just making a point that it's just a charade. And I already figured this out. So I don't know. I was making a point about something. I'll figure it if I look at this video ever again, which I probably won't. It's getting long. The video's getting to be long. So now you understand, right? So what is we going to do? We have to have the mental trigonometry almanac as a part of this gigabyte book so that people can go into it if they want to look at a particular campaign that's running. For example, so this would be part of our service. So let's say what I call the VSS feed, Virtual Society Syndicate. I got RSS. This is the VSS, Virtual Society Syndicate. So you register on our page, and then we see them doing something like the Black Lives Matter. Our analysts go in and we look to see if it correlates with anything that we've seen before and something that we know the effects of. That way, it's almost like an alert. So we can send it out to all these melanated people who are going to be the targeted victims of this psychological scheme, and let them know, hey, yep, the MTA1, alert. This is all part of a scheme, and here's some examples of how they've done this in the past and how it went. And then people go, oh shit. So now you can have the most ignorant person, but everybody in the melanated community is actually talking about it, because if one person didn't get the MTA one, somebody else did. You feel me? And then when we come out with that stack of that catalog of comics, for example, now we can actually have something in there about the MTA one. So the kids get the comic, they get a sheet, the MTA one sheet, they can give it to mom or dad, right? So now we already sent out the alert, but then they got the paper too. And this is all because we created a comic. See what I'm saying? So now we created a comic 20 pack. Like I was saying earlier, I didn't finish the thought, which is that I want to be able to get out here and reach out. I do. I don't have a problem like really speaking. It's just that I don't like to lose either. I don't, and I don't feel necessarily like I'm gonna get the result I want. I want all or nothing. So if I come to talk to the hood, everybody better do what I say. God damn it, because I know what I know. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to get it, but. Hey, go watch this right here. Hey, do this paperwork. But, we can do this. This is easy, man. Get this paperwork together, start going to these events and signing people up, doing the name changes and the legal protections. And how do we do this? Like, if some people is on the fence, they're like, I don't know, because I was on the fence for a long time. But you know what? Everybody, my son taught me that people got to have a reward. You got to give them a carrot. So guess what we do? I created Supercase. Supercase is a social art project which is going to become a business, and I can see it. I'm not going to get into all that. But basically, when we show up to these events, we do it under the banner and under the branding of Supercase. And our objective is to help these black folks get paid from this government oppression. In order to do that, they're going to have to fill out some paperwork so we can mail it in. And once we mail it in, we gave the government notice. You see what I'm saying? So then if they double cross, you know, like the Jews, they have something called Kol Nidre. They do it annually. And it is where they take a vow that any oath that they have given, and since a lot of Jews work in law, they work in accounting, finance, movies, trade shows, I know everything that they're doing. See, they take an oath that they don't have to abide by any other oath that they take. So when they go in and they take an oath to uphold the Constitution, they don't actually have to. See, so they got these redundancies that are protecting them. So what do we got? See what I'm saying? So we got to create these redundancies also that put the government on notice. Hey, you double cross me here, won't. We put the little Kol Nidre type of verbiage in there to say, hey, if we sign any contract after this, that attempts to aver, novate, or or mortgage, right? Or mortgage our affirmative defenses, our affirmative claims, right? It ain't gonna have no force or effect because we got the Kol Nidre clause in effect. So this is how you do it. You can give them an incentive, but then you bring the branding to it. So now it's all, man, I'm telling you, this is what I do. Yeah, I'm feeling myself. This is what the fuck I do. I'm built for this time. All right? So just to close out, so if I can't get to the hood, you know what I'm saying, and talk to these cats, but it was, hey, what is it that I like? I like comics. You know what I'm saying? Look at, I got the chest. I got my product lined up in there, Garage Plus. So for some people, it might not be comics. It might be something a little bit more stoic, intellectual, and, you know, numbers-based mathematics. But if we could put a message in there and do it, we can, in social theaters, just like Hollywood, man, we can do it however we want to do it. My point is, if I had the opportunity to buy a packet of 20 and it cost me $20, let's say, right? Hell yeah, I do that. If this, especially since I have a passion, this is how I want to influence. I want to come from the artistic perspective. But let's say you want to come from the more, you want your magazine, you would rather align yourself with a magazine that looks like, you know, much more Aboriginal type peoples. Or maybe you want it to look more, you know, suit and tie. We can take the same stories and change the characterization in the social theater. Do you understand now? Do you understand? So now we can create the characterization. We can get real cats, put them in suits and ties, and just like a comic, just different scenes with real people in suits and ties, same type of dialogue. So however you want to bring your influence, and then boom, if I could buy that set, it took me a while to say this, didn't it? But if I could buy that set and then just go pass them out, I would definitely do that because that's something that's easy. And so when all the speakers that's out here, you know, going all over the world, I'm trying to empower you because I can see that you still haven't solved the problem. It's just like when Dr. Claude Anderson, this is my double analytical. When I read Powernomics, I was like, man, this is a very good plan. I like the details. It's substantive, but yet nobody's figured out how to really integrate it. That's the kind of thing that I want to figure out. That's the type of thinking and thought process that I put forth. You know, I look at all these different people. It's like, y'all really haven't really figured out how to maybe integrate this really at different levels and or accelerate the integration. So that's what I figure out. You feel me? I'm always thinking about what's the solution because I can see that, you know, just like nonprofits. We got all these nonprofits out here, but I've always said to people, like, I've never really felt the effect of this nonprofit. Maybe the only effect you could feel, I mean, on one level, I mean, so you got roads, nice roads, paved roads, you got libraries. That's all public. You know, sometimes the government will pay for art installations. So, but tell me a time, like, think about all the nonprofits and tell me where I've actually benefited. Here's how, let me give you an example of how this would look. Something that would actually be helping me where I need to be helped, right? What I need help with is I got a lot of business ideas. I need a lawyer. I need a lawyer who can help me draft up contracts. That's it. Help me draft contracts. Or I need a girl, since I'm big idea, big picture, but sometimes I get bogged down on the simplest writings, right? I need the assistant who can help me with that. Help me get a flyer together. Help me produce an event. Where's the nonprofit that's providing a service that I really actually need? If I want to participate in the ecosystem, here's what I need. I got a good idea, but now I need the terminology. I need the agreement. I need a lawyer. They got all these nonprofits that'll help you with these frivolous legal charges, but they don't got nothing. I haven't heard or I haven't seen nothing for the business. See, this is what I'm talking about. So you got all these nonprofits, but I don't never really feel no benefit. So it's all bullshit. See, I think about the real solution because I'm in the trenches. I'm out here. If you work in a 9 to 5 and you live in a regular life and you drinking beers and buzz and you watch TV, you don't know shit. I'm the one that's really out here living in a very diverse, multifaceted way. I can sense issues that need to be resolved because I'm living in different. I'm a polymath. I'm an investigator. I'm a spy. You see what I'm saying? And I'm living an artist's life. My life as art. It's not all about me, but I'm just, I'm illustrating that. That I, anyhow. So this is something we can get started right now. It's a 46-minute video. Probably gonna have to break it up, but it's been a good video. I'm definitely satisfied. I don't know what I'm gonna title it, so if you have a title that you'd like to suggest and some tags that you think would be good for this, go ahead and shoot that to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'll update the title that I've come up with. That's all I gotta say. Gigaspeed.